Welcome back to Chat Shit. We're doing reviews, we're doing previews, and we're doing Freo.
Yeah, so I just want to run you through basically just sum up the 2023 season. Extremely disappointing from what their expectations would have been before the season. I mean, the year before they'd won a prelim, they'd not won a prelim, so they'd won a final, and they would have been expecting to even potentially go one step further and even make it to a prelim final this year. Obviously they didn't. They finished in 14th place. Didn't really have any chance at any point in the season of going and pushing for that top eight with the squad that they had. I feel like they would have wanted to, especially after the season before, push on and solidify themselves as a top eight team. I mean, with the quality they have, Serong, Brayshaw, Pierce is massive down back, Jai Miss coming through. I'm not going to say they're stacked, but they've got enough quality. You'd think they want to be doing a lot better than they are now. They've lost quite a few key players, which we'll get into a little bit later, but I know you have a few things you want to say about them.
Yeah, Freo's situation is so weird to me because it's like they've almost been forced into an unplanned rebuild. And I don't think they'll be intending to rebuild, but I think that might be what happens.
But well, they got a bit of a problem with that because, I mean, the first draft pick is pick 34, and they're not. I mean, if it's not going to be this year, it'd have to be next year or the year
Yeah,
after.
that's what I mean by an unplanned rebuild.
Yeah.
They're not set up for it, except they've. I think what's led to this situation where they're just we're in such a good position and then suddenly fallen off, like last year, and this off season with losing Liam Henry and Lockie Schultz, and these aren't just players in their best 22. These are players in their best 10.
Yeah,
And
they were both, I believe. Lockie Schultz was, I think, top 5 best and fairest.
and Liam Henry was top 10.
I think he was top 10. He did miss quite a few games though.
Yeah, these are both really important players for them and important young players that are improving. So what's interesting to note is Lockie Schultz is from New South Wales, but Liam Henry is from Western Australia near Fremantle. And he is not the only case of this in recent times where Freo have lost local players. Now, teams outside of Melbourne, it's always incredibly important for them to foster local talent because when you sign guys from Melbourne, there's no guarantee that they won't get homesick or feel some desire to join a Melbourne team when they have some sort of agency when they get a few years into their career. But Fremantle has got a bad history over the last 5 or 6 years, or last maybe 3 to 5 years, of losing really good Western Australian talent. You look at Blake Acres, I think Rory Lobb, and now Liam Henry, amongst a few others, players that they will be really, really disappointed to have lost, and I think they need to take a pretty deep look into why it's happening.
Well, this might be a weird way of seeing it, but like just jumping on your what you said about their unplanned rebuild, like I've had a look at what they've done in this trade period, and almost like I'm not gonna in a weird way they're riding off this year coming up, and they're preparing for about in 3-4 years to play.
This is what I'm saying. I don't think that's what they're thinking. They did not. They released a statement. The list management people.
Well, I'll back up why I think
Okay,
they might be
yeah,
thinking
sure.
that. So what they've done is they're at the moment they're the best set up team for next year's draft. So they've received Collingwood's first pick for Lockie Schultz. They've got St Kilda's first pick for Liam Henry. And I believe from previous teams they have a few other first and second rounders. So they're really setting themselves up for next year. And you'd think with Brayshaw and Serong still young, a few other Jai Miss still young, you'd think give them a few more years, give their new draftees from next year a few more years, and in 5-6 years they're a quality team again.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit of a weird way to go because you just think they'd come out of a rebuild. But it's clearly a problem with the list management, as you talked about.
Yeah, and I know that you were telling me about the specific situation with Lockie Schultz, and that sounds like it was some details emerged as he was requesting a trade, and it seems like they're just not treating players the right way to be maintaining good talent.
Well, I'll run you through it just
Yeah.
from what I understood from it. So usually when a player comes into a club and they're drafted, as he was drafted to Freo, they go on a rookie contract, and usually it's a 2-year rookie contract. And that's pretty standard across every club when they draft a player. And then after that, usually if the player is performing very well, they'll give him a proper contract, which means they're usually paid more, and they're registered obviously as part of the club, and it's something to do with the free agency, and then they can receive compensation picks if they lose the player. So after that, Schultz had a pretty okay, wasn't playing too much first 2 years at the club. He then was offered another rookie contract, which does happen. A player gets a third year of a rookie contract. This year, however, in his third year of footy, he was very competitive and a very big part of
Top 10 of
Fremantle. I believe, he was
best
top
and
10 of their
fairest.
best and fairest. Then, surprisingly, he was offered another rookie contract
Yeah.
that year. And a fourth year in a row being a rookie contract as a top 10 best and fairest. If I was Schultz's management or Schultz himself, especially not being from Western Australia, I'd immediately be thinking, I mean, why am I here? They clearly don't value me. And then from what I heard, when his contract was coming to an end here this time, they offered him another like rookie contract, almost like seeing if they could get the player for as cheap as possible. And then Collingwood came in over the top, smashed him a 3-year deal, paying him well. And he's not even from Melbourne, but I think it was a pretty... as soon as he heard about Collingwood's interest, he requested a trade. And
that's not the way to treat a guy that is an absolute barometer in your forward line, constantly providing pressure and skill, and has done for a few seasons now.
Especially when you're a Western Australian team, and I know that they're quite far away from the other states, you really got to do a good job to keep the players. And I'll just give you an example. Chad Warner of the Swans is from...
He's Western Australian.
He's Western Australian, and he's at the Swans, and what the Swans have done is they've actually signed up almost his entire family. I mean, they've got Corey Warner, who's on the fringes of the Swans, probably isn't going to have a big career in the AFL, just from what I've seen so far. I believe his two younger brothers are actually in the academy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's true. So you can see how much effort and time they've put into a player who's from Western Australia, and you can see
a player that's not local.
Not local, yeah, but especially being so far away from Western Australia. This guy's from Lockie Schultz was from Victoria, New South Wales, and went out to West Coast, got drafted out there, and isn't even going back to New South Wales. He's going back to Victoria. Honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if another team came in, offered him a 3-year deal, and he would have said yes straight away. So yeah, pretty disappointing from Fremantle.
So where have you got Freo this year?
Freo, I've actually got them finishing 14th, so it's pretty similar to where they finished in 2023. I think they've got the team to cause an upset here and there, but honestly, I just can't see them doing too much this season. I think it'll be another 5-6 years before we see Freo fighting for finals again.
5-6 years?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've got them in 16th, but I think I reckon they could rebuild a little bit quicker than that. But thanks, guys. That's another one gone, and we'll see you in the next one.